Good afternoon and welcome to a lovely sunny day here in the Masai Mara. Appearance on a Saturday, cat day, and I would be disappointed if we didn't start with the big cat. Now, we are on the other side of the river and we are currently with a few members of the Paradise Pride. My name is Brent Smith. I have Adrian on camera. And this is 100% live from one of Africa's most iconic ecosystems, the Masai Mara. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you have any questions for us on whatever platform you might be watching. So we've actually got quite a few lions here, but only 3 adult females. So we have a bunch of sub-adults, most of them young males, lying in a pile just over there. That's a pile of young males. Oh, there's the pile of young males, and just rolled over. Oh, popped his head up. Hello, mister. Now, all of them are actually looking a little bit peckish, but it is very hot, so I don't think they're going to be doing too much moving. Now, the reason I have come down to this side of the world is because, believe it or not, a friend of mine told me that the Paradise Pride have some new babies. Now, the Paradise Pride is quite a big pride, so this is not all of them. There's, as I said, only 3 adult females here and a bunch of sub-adults. And last year I found a Paradise Pride den site, and they seem to use it quite regularly. So we are going to be moving towards that den site a little bit later this afternoon. But I don't think this lot are going to be moving anytime soon. Unfortunately for them, no crossings are about to happen. But we are between main south crossing and actually a smaller crossing just below main south, and they are lying up in the crotons. And this is always a good place to find the Paradise Pride. They are often in this area. Now, there's 9 adult lionesses that I have personally identified from this pride. So with 3 here, it means the others could be spread along this area down towards where the den site is. So I'm definitely going to go check. Oh, did I see another lion? Oh, she's up. Oh, isn't she pretty? See her. Look at her. Isn't that an absolutely gorgeous female? Hello, big girl. As I said, they are looking a bit peckish. I know these Paradise Lionesses are really impressive individuals. But it sounds like Cat Day is continuing, because I'm not the only one with lions. It seems like Ralph has found some as well. Saturday indeed. Welcome, 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 one and all, to the other half of the Sunset Safari. We're coming to you live from the Mara Triangle. You're watching Safari Live, and my name is Ralph Kirsten. On the camera we've got Craig. How's it, Craig? And folks, what a wonderful afternoon it is indeed. We've come down from the Olololo escarpment straight onto the Angama Pride. And please don't forget to join us on the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and on the YouTube live chat. Give us your questions and your comments. Get involved in the largest game drive in the world. Now, back to the cats. And we've got a female there with a couple of little cubbies. And they haven't moved far from this morning, and they just maybe a couple of 100 meters over to the northern side of where they were. But we've got a wonderful scene here with some lions and a whole herd of elephants off in the background as well. So a lovely start to the afternoon. As Craig pans out there, we can see now as we go across the lions, as regal as they are, looking out over the plains towards the elephants as we watch them as well. And so what a wonderful start. And it seems Brent has come across some lions of his own on the other side of the river, and a little bit later we'll be joined by the Djuma crew, which will be wonderful, I'm sure. But for now, I think we're just going to sit a little bit with the Angama Pride here and see if any of the other individuals pop their heads out of the grass.
Now, Brent, you're wondering if one of the lions had to die, would the other lions eat it or would they leave it? Brent, it depends on how they're feeling at the time. If they are extremely hungry, they might eat it, but generally they would leave it. And you often then find the other scavengers would come in, like the hyenas and the jackals and even the vultures, and they would all have a go at that. But you don't often see lions eating lions, but you can have the males who come in and practice the phenomenon called infanticide, but that's normally taking over a new territory and obviously sharing their genes as efficiently as possible. But mostly they do kill them, not always seen eating them, but it can happen. You do have cannibalism as well, so it's not out of the question, but it's not very common for lions to eat lions. But you could find, for instance, very old males that don't have a pride. Maybe they come across that lion that's died and would definitely help itself if it needed to. So there's your answer to your question. But we've got a few of these little cubbies, and they might be getting a little bit warm in the sun now. Looks like they're trying to take shade from the female, and so we might see them move off a little bit into the forest. They've got a lovely forest shade just up over there, and they're looking out towards the elephants, maybe just watching them and making sure that they don't come towards them. Now, Eloise, you're wondering if the elephants are not worried about the lions being so close. Well, Eloise, they would definitely worry about them if they came much closer and they actually picked them up in a very close vicinity to them, and you'll probably see them charging them and just moving them off. But it looks like the elephants are quite content at the moment to be just grazing through the grass there, so they're not too worried, because obviously for them they might have seen them, but for them the space that they have between them is comfortable. So, for instance, a mommy like that, if she sees those lions, she might very quickly move out of the area with that little baby that she's got, and because she knows the dangers of having quite a big pride around. And you might then find some of the bodyguard younger females coming to get rid of the lions, because they do understand that there is the potential for them being prey to a pride of lions. So there is a little bit of hatred between elephants and lions. The elephants don't particularly tolerate them anywhere near where they are. So, but for now it seems that they're quite happy to carry on grazing there, and they probably say to the lions, well, you stay there and we'll stay here, and then everyone's fine, but make a move and we'll chase you off. So, a lovely looking female, that. Look at all those muscles. Very powerful. A lovely yawn. There's a nice little breeze coming through, so it's not too hot. It's probably around lower 20s degrees centigrade, maybe your mid-60s or just lower 70s Fahrenheit. And we did think as we started the drive that there might be quite a big storm that we'll get into as she yawns again. But it seems like it might have blown over. So, yes. Wonderful afternoon and a wonderful start. That's lovely. Dyed Monkey, you want to know why these lions haven't seeked shade, and why do they sit here in the sun? Well, as I say, Dyed Monkey, it's quite breezy, so it's actually not too hot at the moment, but you might find that maybe that's exactly what this little one is doing. He's maybe heading down and to find a little bit of shade, because it looked like he was trying to just get in under Mom's little bit of shade that she was casting over her head. Now it seems he might be going down and joining the rest in the long grass. So they've actually been very nice to us. There we go. I think it's just laid down in the shade. And that's a good choice of nice cool area under the tree in the long grass. But immediately disappears. Look at that. Almost like the Invisible Man. Totally camouflaged. And so, folks, I think we're just going to try and see if we can find any of the other individuals in this pride, because it looks like they might all be going down into the shade. But while we do that, let's head you on over to Brent, who I think is heading down towards the Mara River.
Well, we've decided to leave those girls, so I don't think they're going to get up to much. And the main reason I came to this area was to look for the new Paradise Pride cubs. And that den is, probably about 2 or 3 kilometers from here. And I'm hoping they're still using the same den as they did last year. If not, adventure! We hope to find another one. And I've just got a report from one of my friends who guides in the Mara that Malaika is at Olkoyombo. For those of you who don't know, that is that way. So, and on our route for this evening, we're going to be heading into that area on our way to Oloshaiki, the camp we stay in. So who knows, we could have a proper cat today with lion cubs and maybe Malaika and her 2 boys. Now in this area, from a cheetah point of view, we do get Amani's 2 daughters. I've seen them actually right up against this crossing here. So we're going to go, well, we'll just see what we can find as we go along. Brent would like to spend some time with ostriches. Well, Brent, if I see any ostriches, we might spend some time there. I really like ostriches, especially when there's cheetah chasing them. It's probably my favorite ostrich. I've had some traumatic childhood experiences with ostriches. So my mother hand-reared, anyway, I can't remember, it must have been 10 or 11 little ostriches. And the only person they liked was my mother. And when they became adults and went out onto our family farm, the male in particular became very aggressive. And I spent, I think, once about 2.5 hours up a tree while I was fishing, because the male ostrich chased me and tried to kick me. And unfortunately, that male ostrich became such a problem that he passed on to the next life. Became steaks and biltong. But the reason he did that is, so my grandparents used to live on the farm, and very good friends of theirs came to go bird watching and to also go fishing. And they were on one of the dam walls and they were fishing, and the male ostrich came and kicked a poor little old lady who was about 73, 74 at the time, in the middle of their chest, right into the water. And I'm afraid that sort of sealed the male ostrich's days. You can't go around kicking little old ladies and survive. So unfortunately for that male ostrich, he became ostrich steaks and ostrich biltong. But the females carried on living on the farm for a long time, and they used to do some very strange things. So it's the only time I've ever seen swimming ostriches. These female ostriches used to go right into the water and then just lay a single egg. And we used to find these ostrich eggs in the shallows of the dams. And actually, I think I've still got some at home from those ostriches my mom hand reared on the farm. We've still got some of the eggs. My mom has hand reared quite a lot of different creatures while we were growing up. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to shoot straight towards the last Paradise Pride den that I knew about, and hopefully we get some luck there. But while we do that, Rolf seems to have maneuvered himself into a better position for you guys to get good views of the lions.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, well, folks, it looks like these lions might have headed down into the shade and not to be seen until a little bit later, because I've just tried to reposition, and it seems like they've all gone down into that very nice, cool little area underneath the tree with the elephants behind them. So I think it's now time for us to move along And we've got a vehicle here coming up in front of us from the Angama lodge. I'm just going to tell them where those lions are, because it will be quite difficult for them to know where they are if they're coming in there, and they won't even be able to see them. But at least I can just point it out to them as we're coming up to them now, and we'll just pass through. So just excuse me while I just quickly mention where they are. Howdy folks, they're just underneath that olive tree in the thick grass. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see them. That one there.
Then I see one of the lions, like a cross like that, on the other side.
Yeah, she's right at the base of that olive tree.
She might be hiding the other one.
Enjoy. Sorry about that folks, but we always try to just mix our information between guides. What do we have over there? We've seen quite a few of the little wide-arm birds, the males and females, driving through, flying through the grass with their lovely long tails. That was an olive tree, by the way. That's what I mentioned to the guide, where they were bedding up underneath. And now we're just, I think, going to head down towards these elephants that we can get nice and close to. Maybe we can have a little experience with them. I always love being in close proximity to elephants, as long as they're comfortable with us. It's lovely to get into their space. So as I say, everybody, we've only just dropped down from the Olololo escarpment. We've hardly driven very far at all, and we came across those lions. So now we've got the whole of the Mara Triangle to explore and see what else has been hanging around. But I think we'll start with these elephants over here. So it seems that Brent was chatting to you about ostriches, and he's trying to find you one. Well, maybe we'll also come across some, and I'm sure that if we head towards the Kichwa Tembo lodge and the airstrip on that side, we might pick up some too. So if he doesn't find any, I'm sure we might. We can chat about them. One of the difficulties with ostriches, especially if you had to face them on foot, is their very dangerous kick, and they kick outwards and downwards. So the advice that is always given to everybody, if you ever encounter an ostrich on foot, and especially around their nest, the best safety net for yourself, if you can't get away obviously, is to lie down. And then they might trample on you a little bit, but they're not extremely heavy. But I'd rather have that than being disemboweled by that very sharp claw and heavy kick of theirs. So, let's see, those elephants are a little bit further up than I thought. I thought they were a little bit further down. But let's turn here. Oh, I see some giraffe over on the plains. There was also, speaking of ostriches, there was a question earlier about parasites on birds, and I did a little bit of research in between drives, and it seems that, because I wasn't sure about birds being able to get fleas and parasites, I knew that they could have mites, but in my research it seems that they can get all of them. They can get ticks, mites and fleas. So that was my thoughts, because I've seen guinea fowl in captivity that were literally crawling in fleas. So it's not past birds to be full of external parasites, ticks, mites and fleas included. I think let's pop down here and have a look at this giraffe who's making his way over towards this little road. Let's go see. There looks like there's a couple of them, but I do need to be very careful of these roads because they are quite wet and slippery. So diff lock in. Let's hopefully get through this. Well done, Land Rover. Been a little bit of rain, so it can be a little bit slippery and sloppery. We're down next to a very big lugger here on the left-hand side of us. Oh, there's a whole journey coming through. Let's go down a little bit towards them. Lovely scene unfolding here. It's always nice with giraffe and that savanna type setting. Lots of weaver birds in the lugger. Looks like masked weaver nests. Let's just find a nice position here that we can look out over these giraffe without falling in a hole and getting stuck. Let's just have a look at them from here. Let's just see as they make their way over on the other side of the lugger. Very pretty. How many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like a couple of youngsters as well in amongst them. Beautiful. Look at that. And I think that giraffe have actually got the best fly swatter of the lot with that very elegant tail of theirs. And speaking of tails, there is a lot in terms of African witchcraft where they use tails, especially that of the black wildebeest. The witch doctors would use the very white tail of the black wildebeest to do all their blessings and bestowing good fortunes upon people. I don't know anything about the giraffe tail being used like that, but I do know that of the black wildebeest because they've got a white tail, and I think that was possibly why they thought it had magical powers, or still do actually. And those very elegantly moving through the grass. I wonder what they're all after. Now, Seanak, you're wondering what makes the Maasai giraffe unique? Well, Seanak, they're not particularly unique per se. There's 4 real defined species of giraffe, and the Maasai giraffe, being a subspecies, is not very different to the giraffe that you get in Djuma, but there is just slight differences in terms of their color and a little bit in their size. They're slightly smaller than the giraffe that we get in Djuma, but not massively, just a tiny bit, and a little bit darker in color, I believe. But there's not massive differences, so they're not totally unique. I wonder if that one having a scratch on his neck. That was just a little passing pleasure. See the female there with very big tufts on her ossicones. Quite clear how you can see that. She's got lovely hair there on the top. And if she turns to face us or turns completely away, you'll also see that they do have a slight inclination to curl inwards as opposed to the males, which almost go straight or even outwards. The females, because they're not being used for real head bashing and necking, they generally are more for looking good, I would say. You don't have that massive callus on the forehead as the males do, also used for that head-butting motion and hitting each other. And lots of oxpeckers there jumping up and down the neck. The red-billed oxpeckers that are more common than the yellow-billed, they look for parasites with their bill more with a scissor motion, so sort of fine combing through all their hair. Whereas the yellow-billed oxpecker, which is less common and found more on buffalo, but you do get them sometimes on giraffe and impala and kudu, they pick at the ticks, as opposed to the red-billed with his scissor-like motion. So there's another little difference that you can also tell between the two very common oxpeckers. Wow, that's a lovely journey of giraffe coming through now. They all seem to be coming together. Tom, you want to know if giraffe ever stampede in groups? Well, they can a little bit. Obviously, if they are in a big group and they come across maybe a lion or something like that, and they are spooked in a group together, well, then they could run off. And I have seen a whole group of giraffe running off. Bigger group than this. I think there was about 20 of them all together. So you can see them stampeding a little bit, but it's quite unusual to have more than that amount of giraffe all in one place, because they don't really herd, or they're not really herd animals. They're just temporary associations. So they come together, they move apart. They're a little bit like the hippies of the bush. Free love, moving around and not really staying in any kind of group per se. And there in the background, that is the Olololo gate. Now, Brent, you want to know if giraffe ever break their legs and what happens if they do. Well, Brent, yes, absolutely, they can break their legs, and it's very often in mountainous areas or rocky areas, or even on tarmac in some of the game reserves or the national parks where there is tarmac. And if a giraffe had to break his leg, he's probably going to become lion food. That's the unfortunate part for the giraffe, and the good part for the lion. But that's actually one of the lion's strategies. If they do hunt giraffe, they try to chase them and try to make them trip, or push them even onto the tarmac, which I've seen them do in the Kruger National Park. Push them onto the tarmac, chase them onto it, and then, as you can imagine, a little bit slippery on the road with only hooves on as their protection on the bottom of their feet, their toes, and so they do slip quite easily on the tarmac, and they can very easily fall, and that's when the lions then pounce. But broken legs for most animals in the wild is normally a death sentence, because you can't really come back from that, and it does make for easy target if you're trying to survive in the bush. So if a giraffe breaks his leg, probably lion food, and anything else for that matter as well. So folks, I think I'm going to start up. We're going to head on out down this lugger a little bit further, see what else we can find, but while we do that, let's head you on over to Brent, who I wonder if he's getting any closer to that lion den that he was talking about. Oh, sorry about that, folks. I think there might be a little bit of, on the other side of the river, it's not as easy for them to get signal, so we'll just hang with us a little bit longer. I'm sure that'll help Brent get closer to the lion den. But that's it. We roll with the punches and carry on the game drive. The show must go on. Oh, and as we were driving down as well, so that's how game drives and safaris go sometimes. I mean, yesterday afternoon we had a very quiet afternoon. This morning was, however, a lot busier. There was all sorts happening. We went to the hyena den, and then this afternoon when we came down the Olololo escarpment, just before we started to make our descent, we would go through a little bit of a forest where there's a small dam, and Craig, cameraman at the back, eagle eyes, he spotted a Narina trogon in the thicket. And if any of you know about a Narina trogon, then you'll know that very wonderful bird to see. But what they always do, and a lot of people, that's one of the birds that they haven't seen, and everybody looking for it because it's so pretty, and it's got green on the back and red, like scarlet red on the front. And what they always do is, especially when they spot somebody that's looking at them, they always show their back, which is very green and makes them blend in with the trees and the thickets that they normally hang around. So makes life very difficult, because you see this flash of red, and then when it lands it turns its back to you, and all you can see is the green, or not see it at all because it's so well camouflaged. So very interesting. And then sometimes they just turn that flash of red back to you, almost teasing you, or as they fly off you see that flash of red again. But a very secretive bird, and also make a little bit of a call similar to the ostrich and the ground hornbill. It's also like a whoop, 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 whoop. So it's quite a deep, almost booming sound that you hear when you're walking in very like tropical, thick foresty type areas. It's one of those birds that always reminds me of tropical areas. It's very similar to that of the gorgeous bush shrike. Now, somebody just said that they would like to see a picture, so let's just quickly have a look here. I think it's Tony. So let's quickly just have a picture, quick look here. And where is Trogon? I'm still very old school with my books. There he is. The only Trogon we have is the Narina Trogon. So I'm just rummaging through quickly. There we are. So I'll put it up front here. So it's this bird here. And you can see that very scarlet red in the front with a very green at the back. And so that's what they show you. They show you that very green color and always turning their back to you, which makes life difficult if you're trying to spot them in the thicket. Anyway, that's one of my favorite sort of tropical birds. The other one being the gorgeous bush shrike. Not particularly because of how he looks, but just because of that call of his, which is like a whoop, whoop, whoop. It's difficult to call, but if you can look online, get a gorgeous bush shrike call. That sound is just so tropical for me and reminds me of the greater Limpopo and the very far north eastern section of the Kruger National Park, where there's not many roads and we access it only by foot. Those gorgeous bush shrikes calling in the forest there, the fever tree forest to be exact. It's just something out of this world. I really enjoy it. It's always funny, you get a lot of different things that remind you of different places, and the gorgeous bush shrike one for me in the northern parts of the Kruger National Park, in that tropical area, fever tree forest. Narina Trogon really reminds me of the Eastern Cape part of South Africa, because we can see 5, 6 of them in one little walk through a forest, the Woody Cape area. And like if you had to go into the grasslands, for me it's all the little pipits and the long claws that call. That's a grasslandy type, and obviously all the black-bellied bustards and Corey bustard, the crowned crane, and so all these different areas or echo zones have got their particular smells and sounds that really remind you of that kind of environment. Very interesting. Okay, so I think I'm going to just wander around. I've got no real plan except for trying to find as many amazing things as possible, and we always stop for whatever we might find along the way. But speaking of finding things along the way, let's send you on over to Brent and see what he's been able to find.
Well, we found a solution to the audio problem, which was quite important, but that seems to be fixed. So we are back. We're still on our way towards that Paradise Den site. Now, I am going to do a little sneak down to the river before I get to the den site, because I have had some really fantastic sightings in that little area. It's this sort of wonderful little marsh right on the edge of the Mara River, and the lions hang out there. I've seen leopard there, so fingers crossed that there's something fantastic there. Oh, snake! That was a big one, and a very fast one. Now, Adrian, don't jump out of the car. So Adrian has told me if we find a snake, he's going to jump and run the opposite direction. It is very much long gone. It looked like one of the sand snakes, very, very fast, but it was a very big yellow snake that just shot across the road. Well, bye, snake. Now, so Adrian's still there, guys. I don't think he saw the snake, otherwise he might not be on the car anymore. He has warned me. We actually had a snake incident in camp this morning, and Jamie called me from the tent, and there was a burrowing asp, or a stiletto snake, quite a venomous snake that was in between our tents and the bathrooms, and our poor housekeeping staff and maintenance staff were all surrounded around it. And Wilson, who's quite a hilarious human being, said, if you didn't arrive, I was going to stab it. Wilson really doesn't like snakes. I just went next to him afterwards and he took off. It was very funny. But yes, quite a big one, about this big. Very dark, shiny snake. We had quite a bit of rain last night, and that's what caused the snakes to come out, especially the burrowing snakes. The snakes that live underground, when it rains a lot, their homes get wet, and they come out quite often during the night or the next morning to try find a bit of dry land. But yes, that was quite fun this morning. And the other fun thing we did this morning, which the hurdy-burdy, that is Taylor McCurdy, is never going to admit to, well, we'll see if we can get her to admit to it tomorrow morning, is the fact that Steph, who is in camp at the moment, came and asked me to go rescue Taylor. And I said, rescue Taylor? From what? Now, Taylor had finished drive. Taylor's in final control. She's already making excuses. It wasn't her fault. She wasn't stuck. So the front, it's exactly in this car. So I'm driving the exact same car. So Taylor made it all the way up to the top of the hill and through the gate. And then there was a really bad noise. Sorry, this thing's just getting caught on everything. A really bad noise coming from the front left tire, and we were a bit worried it could be a wheel bearing or something serious. So Jamie came along for the ride, and we went down there, and all it was the brake guard had been bent slightly. I don't know how Taylor bent it. It could be something to do with her driving, although I can't really talk this week. But so basically the steel was touching on not the brake pads, the brake disc, and making an awful noise. And all it takes is a screwdriver, and you just push and bend, and then the car is fixed. But fortunately it wasn't a serious issue, but I did have to go rescue Jean-Andre and Taylor are now saying I'm the only person who's crashed into another vehicle. That is not actually true. What are you looking at, Impala? Not snorting yet, but he's got the 1,000-yard stare going. It could easily be some other Impala. And if you hear a in the background, that's an anti-poaching camp's water pump going. Well, if he gave a snort, I might be interested. I think there was another herd of impala up on the hill, so I think that's what he's staring at. Yeah, there we go. So let's continue on towards the Paradise den site. As I say, they could have moved. It's unlikely though, because they seem to use the den site, and my friend who was staying at Governor's, he sent me photos of those tiny cubs, was in the exact same spot where I found those cubs last year. But this is on this side of the river. This is one of my favorite little drives down here along the Mara River. It's absolutely stunning. I'm going to get to my little favorite swamp marsh area. Now, before we started broadcasting, we found the Paradise Pride on a buffalo kill fighting with crocodiles. How cool is that, just down here? Oh, let's have a look. No, nothing there. Okay, so there we go, just the river. So while we continue towards the Paradise Den site, let's go all the way back to the other side of the river to Ralph, who's in the opposite of me. I'm in the short grass, and he's eating grass seeds in the long grass.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, we're making our way slowly down towards the marsh and trying to not get stuck while we go, because we are getting quite good at that. But for the time being, it looks like we're doing all right. But I wonder what we're going to find down here. I really want to try and catch up with some of the black rhino that have been hiding out. So I'm going to be going down to that little thicket a little bit further on and see if there's any hiding in there. But first we've just got to negotiate this very wet and quite thick mud. I think I might need to go over here. Or not. As we might get stuck as well. Yes, everybody, that's the game we play, isn't it? We might be stuck. I might have to dig a little bit. Let's just check it out. Turn the wheels. No. Alright folks, I'm going to just try and sort this out, but let's head you on over to Brent, who has found a little birdie for you.
Well, there we go, a Goliath heron. Not one we see too often in the Mara. And again, Ralph, Taylor, Jamie, if you guys want driving lessons, I'm happy to oblige. Oh, sorry Adrian, just come out quickly. This is quite a rare bird, even for the Mara. So opposite me, there's a small heron walking in the grass. You see it, that dark heron? Wait, just slow down, come out again. Come out. There we go. Drop a bit. There we go. Center frame, zoom. Is it what I think it is? Ooh, this is definitely a new bird for everyone there. So it is, oh, that is awesome. Look at it. Exciting stuff. Now, who can tell me what bird that is? Hashtag Safari Live if you know what rare little bird that is. Oh, that's a treat. That's a treat and a half. So it is a very cool little bird. It is part of the heron family. And it is not one we see very often. They are very shy and very, very sneaky. So this time my favorite little marsh didn't produce lions or leopards, but produced something that we see far less of out here in the Mara. Isn't that cool? I love the way they move. So it seems like a lot of you have never seen this bird before. I'm pretty sure it is going to be a good one for your live list. Grateful Dad says it looks like a very dark or black-green backed heron. It does, but it's not. It is part of the heron family, but heron is not in its name. Now, Mafuta says rufous-bellied heron, which is a very good guess, but unfortunately, it's not either a rufous-bellied heron. So if you look carefully at the throat, there's light coloration around the throat. It's one of its diagnostics. Unfortunately, it's not looking at us. And it's got a reddish eye, and with that yellow bare skin around the face and that pale throat is what its giveaway is. We'll come back to it. It's keeping still. But let's just go across. There's a massive flock of rock pigeons that have just landed. Off to the right there slightly. Keep going, keep going. There. There's a massive flock of rock pigeons by the looks of things. Also sometimes called speckled pigeons, I think. In East Africa they might be called speckled pigeons, but rock pigeons. And this little marsh is being a bird's delight at the moment. Now, most of the entrance gates into the Mara have rock pigeons living in the awnings. Wait, come back out again quickly, Adrian. Sorry. All the way across. Have we got more baby crown cranes? Do you think we do? Opposite me there. See the cranes on the other side? And look, there's some older chicks than we last saw. I said this little marsh is being a bird's delight. Goliath heron, speckled pigeon, baby cranes, and the mystery bird. Isn't that cool? Quite a bit older than the other ones we saw. Well, it sounds like we're getting some answers for the mystery bird, so let's go have a closer look at the mystery bird again. Oh, but before we go to the mystery bird, right next to us, utilizing our shade. No, don't run away. Do you see him right next to you there? Hello. He's coming right up to the car. Is a Rupal starling. Oh, off he goes behind the car. Okay, back to the mystery bird. I'm just trying to think. Let me just try and move a little bit. Let's see if we can get a slightly better view on the mystery bird. I think back's going to be the key. Vicky says squawker heron. No, squawker heron's almost white, with rufous around. Ziggy. So not a squawker heron. Half closer. You've got half of it right. It is indeed a bittern, but it is not an African bittern. I don't want to get too close, otherwise I'm going to join Taylor and Rolf in the joys of getting stuck on the edge of this swampy area. Now, of course, not showing you the diagnostic white throat, so I'm going to tell you that the throat is white with stripes down it. Megan, is Taylor McCurdy still in final control? So, okay, I have a right answer, but I want to, let's see, what does Taylor McCurdy think it is? Dum, waiting for McMuddy to give her answer. Well, there we go. Look, you can see the white throat there now. Yes, Judy and Taylor are correct. It is indeed a little bittern. A little bittern, a little bird with a big voice, but they call very, very seldom. A big booming voice. Sorry, not a little bittern. I'm lying. I'm listening to Taylor, which is nonsense. It's a dwarf bittern. Dwarf, not a little bittern. Dwarf bittern, not a little bittern. It's a dwarf bittern. Little bittern is very sort of tanned color, but that is a dwarf bittern. Yes, Taylor is shouting dwarf, apparently, according to Megan. So that's the call of the little bittern. Let's get the call of the dwarf bittern. That's not it. It's that crook, crook, crook in the background, but all the warblers are drowning it out. Oh, our Rupal starling is back. But there we go. Isn't that nice? Oh, and he's off. He's back next to the car again. He likes the shade of the car, this old Rupel starling. He's too close for us to put on camera. And you can see, it's part of the heron family. They use that same very still, moving slowly through the wetland areas to grab tadpoles, frogs, all sorts. But before we move on, let's have a look at those little baby cranes again. They've moved out into a slightly more open area. And you can see they're quite a bit older than the last chicks we saw. Their colors are starting to sort of come through, sort of. Isn't that cool? You can see that little crest starting to develop. That's so cool. Oh, what the spot. It always delivers the spot. I don't know why. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. Well, we can all pull out our tongues at Tristan because, or let's actually, you know what we're going to do? When Tristan gets on drive this afternoon, we're going to challenge him to find a little bitten at Chitwa. See if he can do that. Send me down the road. Ask me to do a bird challenge as he arrives at Chitwa Dam, and I'm on top of the escarpment. But anyway, I think maybe, well, it is cat day, so we'll stick with the cats for now, but I think I might have to challenge Tristan to a rematch this afternoon when Djuma gets moving. Ah, Ralph. Seems like Ralph has managed to get himself unstuck. I'm just not sure whether he had to have someone help him and pull him out, or he managed to get unstuck all by himself.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, that was all by myself, I'm afraid. So there's no parties on the other front. We dug a little bit, and eventually, also something to remember, if you've got a spade, you can also use that to put it under your tire and give you a little bit of traction. Because remember, with a center diff lock, it's obviously a center diff lock comes sa. So as long as you've got two wheels on the ground, but opposite wheels, you've got perfect traction. But the case we had there was two wheels down at the back and two up front that were in the air, so we lost traction completely. But put one of the wheels with a spade underneath it, a little bit of traction, and off we went. A little bit of manpower getting rid of some of the mud in the wall in front of the tire. But that's what it's all about, isn't it? I think I'm the king of getting stuck, and I'll quite enjoy it, so not a problem at all. Yay! Thanks everyone, and we're still trying to dodge the storm because we thought it went away, but just off to the left of us, or to our sort of northern side, there is a humongous cloud building. So it's not gone just yet. We're not out of the woods just yet. We're out of the hole we were stuck in, but we might still get wet nonetheless. At least, as Craig quite cleverly pointed out, we didn't spray ourselves full of mud this time. It was quite a clean escape. But never fear, we will be getting stuck again, and maybe next time you can join us in getting unstuck. Donna, thanks for your question. If I was not a guide, what would be my next choice of career? Well, when I was at school or high school, you know, we did these aptitude tests and all of that, and they did tell us what we should be according to our strengths. They said there that I should be a writer or a journalist. I do enjoy writing, but it never sort of dawned upon me to carry on with that role. But something that I always wanted to do was rugby coaching. I played rugby semi-professionally, but then I did want to move on to coaching. So if I wasn't a guide, I think That's one of the things that I might have delved into. We just stop here with a little couple of topies and a little warthog. It looks like he might have also been wallowing in the mud like we were. Look at that, his tusk's also got some mud on it. And that's a male, you can see nice and easily with that big wart behind his eye. A little bit closer to his tusk as well. So he's obviously moving around on his own. I can't see any others. We're quite close down now to where the black rhino hang out. So we're going to pop through there and have a look as the sun starts to disappear and things start to turn a little bit more ominous. But the topi just carry on feeding, one looking out, one feeding, probably take it in turns. Looks like two males. As I say that, the little warthog scurries off into the thickets. But be quite welcome because it's been quite hot this afternoon. There was a little bit of a breeze, but it's calmed down nicely now, and it's, as I say, the rain looks like it's coming. That was a nice little stop with these couple of topi. Now everybody remember the difference when we talk about some animals, we talk about bulls and cows, and then other ones we say rams and ewes. Where is that cutoff point? Well, it actually happens with the nyala, because the nyala male is a bull but the female is a ewe, and that was when I started to question why, but why? And it seems that anything over 100 kilograms is termed a bull and a cow, and anything under 100 kilograms is termed a ram and a ewe. So with the nyala, you've got extreme sexual dimorphism, or very extreme differences between the male and female, and the male nyala is over 100 kilograms, whereas the female is only about 60 kilograms. So he is then termed a bull, she is a ewe, and everything lighter or the same size as her is also ram and a ewe, and everything same weight or heavier than a nyala bull is a bull. Quite interesting, that little difference between male and female. Now this is the area we've been seeing the black rhino. So while we go in search of this elusive black rhino who's been hanging here in the croton thickets, let's head you on over to Brent and see if he's been able to find that den.
Well, the den we found, but it is quite hot today, so all the females might be out hunting. So unfortunately we can't see any cubs, so the den is there in amongst those rocks. I'm just checking with my binoculars, but the cubs are probably hidden somewhere in the base here, in the shade at the moment. I can't see any adult females either, but we're going to have to come back and check, because I mean they were here 2-3 days ago, so I don't think they've moved far from this spot. But alas, not today. So, next plan. Malaika, unapenda Malaika. Adrian, you've probably got a better singing voice than me. Can you sing that song? You must know that. There we go. Wait, let me turn off so everyone can hear. Adrian's going to sing for you guys.
My voice is not that good either.
Mine is the worst voice ever, so we can try it together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Malaika, unapenda Malaika. I don't know any other words.
Okay, me neither.
we only know the chorus. So it's a very famous Swahili song. Malaika means angel, it's been covered by many people over the years, including a South African, Miriam Makeba, sang Malaika. Who's the most famous person you know who sang Malaika, Adrian? It's gonna come to Adrian. Wait, Adrian's gonna think about it. We're gonna keep moving. So I said we're gonna probably head towards where the last spot Malaika was spotted. Beck would like to know, is it true if Malaika's male cubs have been named? I have absolutely not the foggiest, to be honest. I don't know. It's all I can say. But I have noticed there's a whole gaggle of vehicles on top of the hill up there. So there might be Omani's girls. They have been named. I can never remember their names though, unfortunately. But I've seen them in this area. And Malaika can move distances, and we have seen her. So just on top of this ridge up here where we're heading. So James Richard says they have been named. One has been named Dogo, which means shy. Adrian?
I suppose.
What's the Swahili word for shy? Or maybe it's Masai. I don't think Dogo is shy in Swahili though, if I'm... What?
Ooh, sorry about that, folks. I don't know what's happening on that side, but we're just still on the search for black rhino. That's why we're driving so slowly, and we're just looking in the thickets. Often see them just standing quite still in the thicker vegetated areas, and we've always got the chance of spotting a leopard as well, so it's always worth just going slow near to the foresty or thickety type areas, just looking between the bushes, trying to see either a termite mound with horns or that elusive little white dot on the end of a leopard's tail as they normally flick it around, possibly if they're walking through. Deadly Diesel, you want to know if it's more dangerous to drive around on a safari during the day or night? Well, Deadly Diesel, obviously I think the night you could probably class more dangerous, because you have the potential of not being able to see, for me, elephant herds and big groups of them, so you can get right into the middle of them without you knowing. But other than that, it's pretty much the same, because it's not really that dangerous driving around with a vehicle anywhere in the reserve. I think the only animal that you really need to worry about is the elephant, because obviously they're big enough to be able to push your vehicle over, and if they really wanted to. But so that's the only danger, I would say, from a vehicle perspective. And obviously at night you don't have that much visibility to be able to see if you're actually coming into a herd or not. But it was quite funny, because the other night when we got stuck on the other side of the river, we were there pretty much from about 4 o'clock till 9 o'clock, and some of the guys came to help us, but they arrived without a tow rope, so we were pretty much in the same position that we were before they arrived, but now we had more people around. So the guy that came, he had 2 guys with him, and so they hung with us, and which was quite nice, because at least we knew that the other guy was going to come back. But he went to go and get a proper chain or a proper tow rope that we could help pull us out with, and he left his 2 friends with us, and they sat with us, and we had the light on in the vehicle, and it was really attracting a lot of insects, so it was quite irritating. We were just swatting insects, and it was really becoming too much. So eventually I said, no, I'm turning the light off, guys, sorry. So I switched the light off, and the 2 friends that had arrived, they were actually quite scared to be sitting in the dark, so they put on their own little light at the back and fought with the insects. But we said to them, look guys, there's because there were lions also roaring not far from us, and so they obviously were quite scared. But you know, we just had to say to them, look, we're in the vehicle, doesn't matter if you have your light on or not, it's still exactly the same sitting in the car. But yeah, they were quite worried. But from our perspective, it's, if you're in the vehicle, you're pretty much safe. especially in a stationary position like that. Even if lions came along, there's nothing that they could do to us really. They wouldn't jump in the vehicle. That's really unusual. That's really strange. I don't see lions jumping into vehicles, except in these little zoos or safari parks where they're quite habituated with vehicles and people, and sometimes being fed out of vehicles as well. But the only thing would be elephants as well, once again walking up to us, but they would have known that we were there and we're stationary. We're not now driving into the middle of them, and so we were 100% safe. We just had to wait for the guy to come with his proper tow rope, which he eventually did, and he pulled us out with no problems, and off we went. But it was just quite amusing for me to watch the two guys being quite scared in the dark, and they thought that the light would save them, but so quite humorous. But we've got a lot of animals off here just to the left. I think we might just have a look. There's a lot of giraffe and zebra and elephants. There's all sorts. So let's just drive forward here and see if we can get a nice view on them. We are now going from the other side, so I might be going around them and coming back. But let's see up front here. Looks like there's lots of zebra to have a look at. Coming through a nice little dip. There's quite a few mouse birds flying off into the brush. If you don't know what a mouse bird is, it's got a lovely long tail like that of a mouse, and a very mouse-like face as well. Very small birds, quite mouse-sized too. So the mouse birds, we see them in Djuma as well, the speckled and the red-faced. And here's quite a few impala, some zebra. I think we'll just stop here and have a look at them. Just put my nose up over this little mound here. There we go. That's a nice view over the zebra, and they're always very photogenic, aren't they? Lovely contrasts, and we can see that very big storm approaching behind them, but look at that, very dark, eh? And they're all in the forest here, well, moving into it, and there was a lot of giraffe and elephants on the other side as well, but look how we're looking into the backsides of all the zebra with their swinging tails. They're also grazing through the thickets. We're starting to see a lot more zebra at the moment. I wonder if they're starting to make their way across the river. Probably the first of the big groups that are going to start coming. There's quite a lot more of them around, I've just noticed. And there is some talk of a couple of herds starting to make their way across. It's not a bad time for them to cross the river actually, because the river is very low at the moment, so it's very easy to cross at certain points, and so they don't really have to worry too much about the crocodiles, because they can actually cross areas which is shallow enough for them to run across. So the ones that come later are obviously going to be a little bit more in danger, because the water is going to probably rise. Bless you, Craig. That was Craig, folks. He just had a sneeze. You can see some of them have still got that shadow stripe, but not all of them do. There's a little bit of a light. There we go. That one doesn't really have, but there's one or two of them that do have it. And the pure giveaway, though, is the stripes meeting all the way on the stomach. That differentiates them from the mountain zebra. See, they're all grazing through there. Remember, the zebra's biggest defense is his kick, and he's got an almighty kick on him. And so the lions need to be at the best of their game to be able to take a zebra down. They need to either tackle them from the front if they've laid an ambush, or if they're chasing them, they need to wait for that kick to come and almost step it and then go in. That's the perfect time. Once those legs are at full stretch, that's the time for them to go in. But after it's come, if they go too early, they obviously can get very hurt. And there's some impala as well, just lying, ruminating. Remember, they do need to spend a lot of time actually doing that. So it's not always that they're sleeping. You see the head is up and alert. And they need to graze and browse, and get a lot of that vegetation in them, but then they need to spend a lot of time actually digesting. And it's nice to see there, we're seeing ones grazing, seeing others browsing. That's one of the reasons why impala is so successful, because they are able to eat a very wide range of different plants, and that's what also enables them to populate totally different environments as well. You've got them in a very wide ranging distribution, and because of their adaptable feeding habits. And so, folks, that's one lovely little scene. I think we're going to start up and maybe head. There's some giraffe crossing the road. There's also some elephants around the corner, and who knows, maybe we'll bump into the marsh breakaway pride as well. So let's start up and head off in that direction. Go and have a look. I did hear that there had been some news of the marsh breakaway pride in the direction that we're going, and we'll always towards the end of the drive maybe pop in and see if that Angama pride has come out of the shade, especially with this cloud cover now. It's not as hot, so they might come out of that thick grass under the tree. We'll be able to see them a bit better. Just scanning. CNAC, thanks once again for your question. We always value your input. CNAC, you want to know when do giraffes start giving birth? Well, giraffe don't have a particular time of year that they will calf. They can do so any time of the year, but you do generally find that a lot of them sometimes will coincide that with the fall of the big rains, but giraffe, honestly, they can really calf any time of the year. So they don't have a set breeding season, and much like their social behavior, it's pretty random. So that's probably what also keeps good genes going through all the giraffe populations, and very easy for them to then have strong genes because of the real mix. And so there's a nice giraffe that we just have in front of us. Let's just stop and have a look at this one. It's nice at nice close quarters. We'll just let it, because it's probably going to cross the road, so we might as well sit here and watch it cross. Deadhead Tom, thanks for your comment. Yes, they do seem so gawky and graceful at the same time. And you see, as that one's walking, they've got a particular way of walking. It's quite similar to that of the hyena. Also quite a sloping back, but if this one starts walking, you'll see how the left side is stationary when the right side is moving, both front and back, and vice versa. And the hyenas do exactly the same. And it's not down to their sloping back, but all the sloping back animals have a very similar way of walking. And then if you look at animals like impala, nyala, their back is very straight. And so they go from one side to the other. So right front will move with left back, and left front will move with right back. But now watch as it moves. You see, there goes left, right, left, right, left, right. You see that? It's almost like a soldier. You do well in a marching lineup. And as we sit here, we can actually hear the classes cuckoo calling, maiki, maiki, very often down here by the forested area towards the river. Look how easily it bends its neck. Alright folks, so we're just waiting for these giraffes just to cross the road. Don't want to disturb them too much, but that is quite interesting when you see it bend its neck like that in two different places. And that was actually quite awkward. But while we wait for these giraffes to cross the road and give us the way forward and leaving us with the roadblock, we'll send you on over to Brent and see if he's been able to catch up with Malaika just yet.
Unfortunately not. We haven't been able to catch up with Malaika just yet. However, before we disappeared into a gremlin-filled hole, we were discussing the names of Malaika's boys. Now, Dogo, unfortunately, doesn't mean shy, or it doesn't mean. It means small. Dogo, Kidogo, and Dogo is all small, and well, my Swahili is below par. Adrian, however, being Swahili, is pretty damn good. So I'm going to go with Adrian on this one. But Dogo, I knew immediately. We had a bit of trouble with what was the second one? Because shy. Oh, there we go. Shy in Swahili is Haya, H-A-Y-A, Haya. But the second name. Do you remember what it was? Kigumba. Yeah, Kigumba. And what we can work out from Kigumba, which sort of makes a bit more sense, it's not strong or fast. It's either the tip of the spear or the tip of the arrow. So I suppose that's always going forward first. So, but definitely. So strong. Wait, I know this one. Don't tell me, Adrian. Strong is. No, Mbali is heavy. Oh no, I can't remember. Ngovu, I knew that, damn it. Ngovu is strong. Oh, hello buffaloes. So Ngovu is strong. And fast is... Oh no, I'm thinking in Zulu now because we were just chatting, Adrian and I were just chatting about languages. Mbio, there we go. So fast is Mbio. Ngovu is strong. So from what we can work out, that's Kigumba is the tip of the spear or the tip of the arrow, which is actually a very, very good name for a cheetah. The tip of the spear or the tip of the arrow. Here we go. Hello, buffaloes. It is quite wonderful up here at the moment. Wind's starting to pick up a little bit. A small herd of buffalo up on the ridge here. Now, Malaika, if you look, which basically, Adrian, if you go a little bit to the right and you zoom, wait a little bit back to the left, so where that, a little bit to the left of that termite mound, keep going left, a little bit more left. Oh, there's a warthog as well. Hello, pig. So if we zoom there and keep zooming past the buffalo up the valley, Malaika is basically where the haze ends, or actually beyond the haze up there. So we're still on our way towards Malaika. We've still got a fair distance to go, but there's always such wonderful things to see, such as these buffalo, as we are on our way to find other things. Wildlife says these buffalo are huge. They are. So your average sort of southern African buffalo that lives in much drier climates, and even a buffalo from Savo or Samburu and other parts in Kenya. Look at how big. This is a cow. That is the scary thing. This is a buffalo cow next to us here. The really big one closest to us that's just turned her head away. Your average sort of weight on a big male buffalo in South Africa is lucky 450, 500 kilos, maybe 600. Here, some of the buffalo bulls can push up to 900 kilos. It's from having all this lovely green grass year-round to feed upon. Hey, fat cow. So there are impressive buffalo specimens here in the Mara. Oh, and we've got a little oxpecker, a yellow-billed oxpecker at the back. There we go, just see its head popping up. Sinak is wondering what buffalo is in Swahili. That's quite a nice, easy one. It's Nyati. So very similar. It's the same as Zulu, similar to Shangaan and Tswana. And so what's Shangaan? I think Shangaan's Nyari. Nyari, yes. Now, Swahili, however, have a different word for a duggerboy as opposed to a normal buffalo. Mbogo. Mbogo is a big old buffalo bull that's away from the herd. Mbogo. Which ones we call duggerboys are called Mbogo in Swahili. Wonderful scenes here in the Mara. hello Aiden, who's 6 years old. Aiden's wondering, why do they have horns? Well, Aiden, the males have horns to fight with each other so they can get some girlfriends. But both males and females have horns, so if the lions come after them, they can hook them with their horns and throw them in the air. So it's to defend themselves. Wow, actually, I'm just going to do this quickly. So I'm on the other side of the buffalo. But it's quite an impressive, solid piece of quartz here. I mean, look at that. Buffalo can't see me. I'm just going to jump out. I mean, this is... So you don't often find pieces of quartz that are like this. So let me just untangle myself from everything. But I mean, look at this. This is massive. It's a solid piece of quartz. Now, I can really lift that. Sorry, I think I was blocking my mic there. So it's a really big, solid piece of quartz, the biggest I've seen there. Biggest I've seen since I've been in the Mara. Now, you don't often get big pieces of quartz like that. Sorry, just get my ears back in. There we go. Okay, that's incredible. Now, so the rocks underneath this quartz strata and that very rich, dark, black volcanic soil are from the Cambrian layer, or the Cambrian era, sorry. So the rocks underneath this quartz and the volcanic ash are about 600 million years old. So some very, very old rocks underneath, and then all the quartz has sort of degraded on top. And then when you get into those black cotton areas, the areas where Ralph and Taylor like to get stuck so often, those are all far more recent. Quartz is a bit older. Quartz is a bit older than the black sort of cotton. Black cotton comes from when the Rift Valley volcanoes were active. Now there are still a couple that are active. The most active one is in Congo, and there is actually where's Natron? Let me get my bearings. That way, there. Right that way, probably less 150 k's from us. There is an active volcano there called Older Lengai, which means the mountain of God in Maasai, and the Maasai believe the rumblings that come out of there are from Lengai, which is God. And older, it means mountain or hill in Maasai. Now I'm going to have to skedaddle through a bit of a valley here, so I do apologize if I find any gremlins, but I'm just going to shoot through it quickly while I get towards the gorgeous Malaika and her two boys, and hopefully we catch up with them before the end of the drive. While we do that, let's go see what Ralph's up to on the other side of the Mara.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, and we've just come through here. Ooh, look at this. Little bit of interaction there with a couple of ellies just in front of us. A little bit of argy-bargy, pushing and shoving. Let's have a look over there. Looks like a couple of youngsters just feeling each other out, maybe playing a little bit. It's a good practice for when they're older. Look at that. The one getting in underneath the other one's chin. Lovely white of their tusks. The wind's starting to pick up now as this storm seems to be approaching us at a rate of knots. But the elephants still seem quite happy. It's not too hot for them. Look at that. Get in under him. That's it. The one closest to us seems like he's a bit smaller, and he seems to be getting in under the larger one. A nice setting with the background there towards the Olololo escarpment. Those two, I wonder if that's now it. Hey guys? The youngster's not finished just yet. He wants some more. There we go. The two young bulls in their teenage years. Not very big tusks, they're still growing. But yesterday we saw that 2 big bulls at real fighting. So this is very good practice for that kind of stuff. Once they're adults and they need to do it for real. And they've done it lots before while they've been playing. And there's still a lot of elephants around this area. Remember, it seems that once the migration starts coming through again, they're all going to disappear. So I'm sure we'll still see a couple of them, but the majority of them are going to move out of the area because of the sheer numbers of the wildebeest and the zebra. But nice for us then, just at this time, to appreciate the sheer numbers of elephants. They're around every corner, and I know that everybody's saying, well, where's the corners here in the game reserve? But we do seem to drive around many corners and find animals around them, so I'll keep referring to that, because we just came around the corner now and found these elephants. Paula, you want to know if tusks will ever stop growing at a certain length? Not particularly. Well, they'll pretty much grow until their final years. So even if they break off, you'll still have obviously one being shorter than the other, but it will still continue to grow. And I have seen that my thoughts are the more that it breaks, the actual thicker that it becomes. But then it is a lot shorter, obviously. But these are quite thin little tusks on these individuals, but they'll continue to grow, and they are obviously very useful weapons towards each other, as well as being very useful tools for either digging up soil, for eating, geophagia, also for even helping to dig when they are digging for water, and then the obvious fighting with each other. I have seen a big bull put his tusk right through another bull numerous times, and that's obviously once they get to that real dominance fighting of their later years. Now, these youngsters won't be doing too much of that just yet. If a big bull comes around, I'm sure they'll just be getting out of the way. But there's a tiny little baby now, just made its way towards these guys. Look at that. And he's just laid down in the grass. He's had enough. Going for a little snooze. Hey, how cute is that? You can see the lovely wind coming through, and it's probably quite comfortable for the elephants now. And you always notice how their ears just go almost stationary when it gets cool like this. The hotter it is, the more they're waving backwards and forwards. And the big radiator of their ear flaps, with their ear being, the actual ear being just in front of that. And then just in front of the ear hole, you also have that temporal gland, which is very often leaking. Brent, you want to know if a little baby goes to sleep, will the adults wake it up if they want to move off, or if there's any danger and so on? Absolutely. And they won't leave that little youngster there on his own. And the youngster is normally quite happy in the knowledge that he's got lots of other elephants looking out for it. It's not only the mother that looks out for baby elephant, of that particular elephant. There will be other females that do mother it as well. So there can be surrogate mothers or babysitters, and they'll all help each other within the same herd. And babies are quite a focal point, especially for the younger females and the moms of the calf. And so I wouldn't worry too much about this youngster. These elephants have got it all under control. And I'm sure the little youngster, as youngsters do, need their little nap. Cenac, you're wondering how much little baby elephants suckle. Well, obviously in their first year, Cenac, is when they would suckle the most. And they pretty much their entire diet consists of mommy's milk. But it's very interesting, especially when we go out on trails and we find a very sloppy dung from the little babies, and it's got quite a mucus look to it, and it actually smells quite weird as well. It's almost like baby poo. It's very different to an adult. And once the diet starts changing, and you can see that the babies are actually feeding on vegetation with a mix of mom's milk, then you start to get a really strange colored vegetation type dung, but it's tiny, but they're not really digesting anything of the vegetation yet, so it's almost just getting used to that change. And so they do have a real mix of milk and vegetation, and slowly then weaned off mommy's milk. But look at that now. I think that little youngster's gone for a real snooze in the grass. As little babies do, they need to have their sleep quite regularly. So they're quite active and they're running around and having fun, and then they go from full energy to fully tired and sleeping. It's like little puppies, isn't it? They run around biting and chewing and playing with everything, and just as much as they were playing, they almost just fall down asleep and then wake up with all the energy that they had before they went to sleep. Just keep on doing that through the day as mom continues feeding. And she's got all the knowledge and experience that she knows what's good for the baby. Maybe this is her first calf. Who knows? And so as we watch these beautiful elephants grazing in the plains of the Mara Triangle with a real possibility of a storm approaching, let's send you to Noel in South Africa.
Djuma joining the Mara for Safari Live for our Sunset Drive for today. I am Noel, and on camera I've got Dobby. Hello, Dobby. Now, Dobby's saying hey. Now, where I am right now is where Steve had Tundi and Shadow's little one here this morning, and we're busy trying to see if we can find them again. So after Steve left, he said there's still a little bit more interaction, so I have a feeling it probably carried on for a little while. So I pulled in where I can see Steve's tracks, and I'm just checking a little bit. Then I'm just going to meander towards the fire break and see if I can find any of their tracks, and then I'm just pretty much going to work this area until we come up with something. I haven't seen a leopard on camera in a few days. I'm sad. I really would like to show you all a leopard, and also that interaction was amazing. So if they are still together and we can get some more sister action there, that would be good. Very, very good. Okay, so send through your questions and comments, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. We love to hear from you. We'll see what we can do. Yes, it's hot today, hey? It's very hot. I would guesstimate it's maybe 35, maybe a little bit cooler than 35. All right. Now, I was looking at some of you sent me through some screenshots from Steve's sighting this morning. Especially, I love just the one of Shadow's youngster sort of standing in the road going, I don't know what's going on, but I'm watching this anyway, and I'm not quite sure what to do. It made me giggle. Now, if I were a leopard and I was busy, my thought process on that is that they're interacting with a lot of territory. I have a feeling that they're either going to have been like, well, fine, and then shove off completely, or that they're going to have sort of stayed by each other. Although I'm hearing now in my ear from the game drive station that it sounds like Shadow towards the interesting, very interesting. So let's see what we can do with this, and then we might just have to go and check a couple other areas. I've got Tristan asking me if I copied what's going on. Tristan, I'm live on camera, but I do copy you, that is for sure. So apparently Tundi went back into the drainage line that's just farther north from where we are, and Shadow went into the Milwaukee. Here are tracks of, it's either going to be Shadow or their youngster. They're almost similar in size. Coming up. Let's see if we can show these to you all. So here we've got the hind foot, the hind left foot. Remember, when you take your thumb away, this finger is your longest finger, and then when I put it down inside, there's the longest finger. Sorry, Dobby? Oh, put them up. So when you hold your fingers without your thumb, this one's your longest finger, your middle finger. So that's how you tell. See there? So left and then right, and then when you bring them down, you can fit, this one fits in perfectly. This one, my longest finger is over here. It doesn't work. And then this would be the back foot. It's longer than it is wide, and there's the front foot. So look, could be Shadow, could be your youngster. I'm guessing that it's probably Shadow. And then moving up this side where the interaction happened. But now we're going to have to go look in some other places. That's all right. I'm sure we will manage. And also, if they have spread out, it means that Tristan can help. I can look for one, and Tristan can look for the other. And hopefully that means we get at least one rose-headed cat on game drive this afternoon. So let's go check Twin Dams and then pull into the Milwaukee, and then I have a feeling that Tristan will probably go and check or Tundi last seen now that we hear from the other game drive guys. Maybe she's gone back to her cub. Kirby and I were chatting quite a bit about the interaction this morning because we could obviously hear it as we were finishing up with walk. And we were saying hopefully Shadow stays more this side so Tawny can stay more that side so the cub's protected. Oh, and apparently there must be something wrong with my comms, but apparently we can go to Ralph while I'm busy searching. So let's head on over to him, and I will see you all shortly.
Well, I'm not Ralph, as all of you may have noticed. So I think Noelle's struggling with a few little gremlins. Hopefully she vanquishes them and gets rid of them and burns them under this hot sun. My name, however, is Tristan, and on camera today I've got Vildi, VM, the Wildebeest, is here with me. And, well, our plan for this afternoon is going to be an interesting one. We're going to try and check for little Tumba. I believe he was seen this morning on the dam cam, so we're going to try and find him. And so thank you to all of you that did let us know via hashtags #SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat. So I know his tracks, Noel tracked them north a little bit, so we're going to go do Buffelshoek Dam, and then we're going to come down and check the Milwaukee from the northern side and see if maybe Tumba has found himself a little shady spot to rest. So that's the plan for this afternoon. So it's all about spots so far, and hopefully Buffelshoek Dam might even yield some big pachyderms too. That's the kind of idea that we're going for. What do you think, Vildi? Good idea? Yes, excellent. Well, let's carry on then, Vildi, because it's very hot in the sun here, and it's better to try and get through and down towards some sort of semblance of shade, and so we'll try go towards Buffelshoek Dam for that and see if there is anything hanging around there. Now, Noelle needs an update on Shadow and Cub. I'll just quickly give it to her. So she wasn't being able to hear, so I luckily got it. Noel, yeah, Shadow's cub went into the Milwaukee. Shadow and Tundi were left same place on Weaver's Nest, so I don't know if you want to follow up there. So there we go. We just let Noel know exactly what's going on. Now, we've got a situation where we're just checking all of these little mud wallows as well, because these are the kind of places where a leopard might be. We know yesterday when we found Tundi early in the afternoon, while she was quite active, she did go for water fairly quickly. So we're going to check everywhere that we can and try and find some semblance of shade and water combination that hopefully will hide a little spotted cat. Now, while we do that and we head off towards Buffelshoek Dam, we're going to just climb this ridge and go onto the other side, and there are a few gremlins in this area. Let's send you all the way back across to the Mara, and I'm not sure which one you're going to. I think maybe it is Ralph this time, which would be quite nice to see him, given that I believe he has been stuck already this afternoon.
Oh, gee, thanks, guys. So the message has gotten all the way back to South Africa already. Thanks a lot. Well, anyway, you're not trying hard enough if you're not getting stuck. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. But now we're going back in onto the story of the elephants without tails. And this little guy looks like he's had his tail docked right at the base. And now you wouldn't even know that he had a tail to begin with. I'm still of the opinion that they're getting taken by crocodiles crossing the river when they're very young, because we haven't seen any wounds with older elephants. I've only seen an open wound on very small elephants. So I think that it's at the height where they can be got at by crocodiles as they're crossing the river. And obviously then when they're a little bit older, they're a bit too high. Ravinda, you're asking the question because I'm sure it's been seen quite a lot in illustrations and so on. Do elephants ever walk by holding on to each other's tails? Well, I have seen elephants walking and crossing a river with the babies holding on to their mommy's tails, but you wouldn't perhaps see a long line of them all holding each other's tails, but they definitely do assist each other a little bit like that. So I have seen it happen before, and it's generally a little baby with mommy's tail sticking very close to her. And I've seen it in the Okavango and in Chobe and in those areas of Zimbabwe and Botswana, and also in the Kunene region of Namibia, and they cross that river. Right, and I just want to ask Craig if he can just have a look in that tree over there. There's a little bird there. It's obviously a bird of prey, and I'm thinking that that is a grey kestrel. He's got very yellow legs, and he's got the little yellow eye ring, but I will welcome anybody's suggestions if you're able to get a screenshot of that and help me with identifying. I'm thinking it's a grey kestrel, but because it's very grey on the chest as well, it doesn't have any barring. There doesn't seem to be any barring on the tail either. So my guess is a grey kestrel, and that would be a first for me. Lots of firsts happening here in the Mara, but let's get those positive IDs going, and let's get the debate going. Let's see, what do you guys think? My first choice, grey kestrel. Anyway, let's start up and head along the road and see. Maybe we'll see some lions along here, but otherwise we'll just see what else pops its head out. Isn't that so? Lovely to see all the new birds for me. It's very different birds that we get here. There's a lot that are the same, but grey kestrel is one of those birds that very patchy distribution in South Africa, and it would be very rare to see. So here, Namara, I'm wondering, maybe we can get another view of it from the front, just to see. If he doesn't fly off, I'll just stop and see if Craig can get him on the camera there. Craig, how's that? We can just get a look on him there. I don't know about the roof. Let's just see. Sorry about that roof. Oh, there he goes. And as they always do, isn't it? So we'll have to go with the picture that we got. Grey kestrel. Saw the Dickinson's kestrel the other day as well, which was very nice. So I've seen the greater kestrel, the rock kestrel, Dickinson's kestrel. Now hopefully this grey kestrel make a nice addition to the list. I wonder if this rain is actually going to hit us, or if it's all just smoke and mirrors. Looks like it might be. But it's nice, it's cooled everything down, so I'm not complaining. As we go along this area, this is where we've seen quite a lot of the marsh breakaway pride. So let's see, maybe they stick their heads out, maybe we can find them. But in the meantime, let's head you all the way back to South Africa. Buffelshoek, Tristan, and I believe some hippos.
Well, there is one of the biggest hippos that we have out here is busy cruising around Buffelshoek Dam. There's not much else happening here, but there is a hippo and it's being surfed at the moment. But I think the surfing lesson is about to be interrupted, because if that hippo goes any deeper, that terrapin is about to be flooded on top there. But how cool is that to watch? Very funny. Terrapins make me laugh. They just kind of cling on for dear life and hope that the hippo settles down somewhere and they can then stay on the back. Now the reason why it's there is to try and get some sunshine and warm up a little bit and use the hippo as a form of protection. But you can see how large that hippo is when it stands up compared to the terrapin. Not a hairpin, there's no such thing as a hairpin, it's a terrapin. But it is absolutely massive, that hippo. It is a big individual. You can also see clearly now from that just how shallow Buffelshoek Dam is. It might seem like there's a lot of water here, but it's actually not very deep at all, and he has to kind of lie down in a little ditch there, and oh no, the wave knocked over the terrapin. Surfing lesson didn't go well, unfortunately. They got knocked off in the barrel. What's it called? A barrel, isn't it? Of the wave. I don't know, Vildy. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to ask all our surfing teammates, so particularly Craig, who's with Ralph. He might know what it is called exactly. Now, hippo's gone underwater, which is not a surprise for this particular hippo. These hippos are... Well, this particular hippo is quite shy. He likes to go underwater, so I'm going to reverse back a little bit because he's gone quite far behind me, and so it's a little difficult for Vildy because we've got this aerial behind us, and so we don't want to get that in the shot. So let me just try and reverse back a little bit. I was hoping to maybe just an outside chance that little Tumba might have moved this way, given how hot it is today. And I would imagine that wherever this leopard might be, it will be somewhere shady, and I was hoping that he might have just gone exploring a bit and come up this side, given that he was seen at the dam at around sort of 2 o'clock in the morning. I doubt that he would have stuck around too close. You never know, he might be right there somewhere, and we'll definitely do some loops around there later, but there's just an off chance that he might hang around in this area, so that's why I thought to come this side. But there you go, there's our hippo just sticking its head up above water. You can see it's a fairly sleepy fella. Also, seems like the light is giving him a bit of trouble. You can see his eyes keep kind of closing and squinting a little bit, but nostrils are wide open, sniffing about, getting air in to be able to then submerge himself. And so I wonder if this is Scuba Steve, because very shy today. Now, other than the hippo, like I said, there is very little else going on here. It's not even the usual terrapins that line the banks. Normally we get terrapins all over the banks here. They kind of just sit along and try and absorb some sunshine, but given how hot it is today, I would imagine most of them have already absorbed enough heat and have gone into the water. But there are the obligatory Egyptian geese, which are generally always about and never very far from any water, and we even know that we've seen them out in the fields and pass in out of the way of water sources quite regularly, so they literally do take over everywhere. But if you do find water like this, an Egyptian goose generally is very close by. Right, I think we're going to carry on. Like I say, our hippo is being shy. He's decided he's going to stay under. Oh, there we go. He's popped his head back up again, which is quite nice. Doubt he'll be up for long. It seems as though this hippo is quite shy, and I don't know why. We tend to come past here quite regularly, and it's not like we ever go down to the water. We stay fairly up on the dam wall. So I would have thought he would have become a lot more accustomed to us than he is. Right, from one dam to another, it's hot, it's the perfect weather to be near water, and so Noelle, she's down at Twin Dams, and hopefully she'll get some luck with not Barbara or Shadow or even Tundi somewhere in that area.
Thanks, Tris. I am at Twin Dams, and I found some waterbuck and some Egyptian geese. I haven't found any tracks of Shadow's youngsters, so the update that I had, sorry, I'm having a little bit of issues with my comms today, but I've re-established that it was Shadow's youngster that came into the Milwaukee, and Shadow stayed by the original place, and then Tundi, I'm not quite sure. My earpiece and my comms thing are doing something a little bit funny, but that's what it seems like what's happened. So we've checked a little bit of the Milwaukee, but today is very hot. So if the youngster is here, one, she's had to deal with that whole scenario from this morning, and then two, I mean, sometimes she's out and about and sometimes not, but even if she's feeling comfortable, she's probably hidden up in the shade somewhere. So we're gonna check around here a little bit more, and then I think we're gonna head back up towards Weaver Nest, Gowrie Main Junction, and see if we can find Shadow in the shade there, and we're just gonna keep working these areas until we find one of these leopards. If we don't find them sort of right now, probably within the next hour, as it cools down, they'll start popping up for sure. So we just have to be around and sharp enough and listening for birds and alarm calls from other animals to try and see what we can do. Oh, the Egyptian geese have babies. Just right in the middle there. Very cute. So these are different babies than the ones we were looking at in Chitwa Dam. So it seems as if most of our Egyptian geese pairs have managed to procreate, and there's Okay, so they've managed to procreate. Now, in terms of procreation, we have something going on with the water buck that's not procreation, but that is in fact dominant submissive behavior. Come now, boys. So the larger, older one at the back is trying to mount the younger one in the front, just to say that I'm more dominant than you are. And with these little satellite groups of water buck, this is what happens often. So none of these males are territorial. They're a little bit too young to be territorial. And as long as they're submissive to the territorial male here, they're allowed to be on his periphery of his territory. And as long as they don't try to overtake him, he's fine with that. So it's a satellite bachelor herd. Scarlet, you're curious to know why are they called water buck? Scarlet, they're found within 2 kilometers of water, if not closer. So I have a feeling that that would be the reason why they're called water buck. They also have hooves that will splay with a slight bit of webbing in them. And they also have a tendency that when they are very close to a water body and a predator tries to attack them, that they run into the water. So those would be the reasons why I'm guessing that they're called water buck. Although that being said, I've seen wild dogs chase water buck into water and chase after them. There was an amazing video at Londolozi of lions chasing actually a kudu into water and killing it. I've seen lions pull out a water buck that was stuck in the mud from the edge and eat it. So yeah, I don't know how often it actually helps, but they seem to feel safe in there. They also have a very special coat that helps wick the water off of it so they don't get too waterlogged. They're basically meant to be in wet areas. Now I think on the edge of the water, just to the right of this water buck at the water, and then coming up, there's a bird. If we come around a little bit closer around the corner, you should just be at the right-hand side of the screen there. Now around the corner a little bit more. Yeah, sort of halfway through. There he's hopping. I can see him hopping. No, come closer to us, Davi. See where the dung is in the water by this dead branch? Just in front there. Yeah, there I can see him. Perfect. What are you? Sorry, I just want to get my binos out. In the spirit of birding. Oh, it's a bulbul. It's a dark-capped bulbul. A batarchat. A butterbum. Beautiful. Chirp, chirp, chirping away. So something we hear a lot, a very common bird, but not something we show on camera often. All right, while we're trying to figure out leopards and where they are, let's head up to Brent, up in the Masai Mara, very far from us in a completely different ecosystem, and see if he has anything that he would like to share with us. I hope maybe he found the cheetah he was looking for. I believe he's looking for Malaika, and we'll see if that panned out.
Well, we haven't quite got to where Malaika is just yet. We're still on our way, and we've encountered a few members of what is probably the loiter herd of wildebeest. Now, I have been hoping that they are going to make their way down towards this area, and we could be very, very lucky if in February or the beginning of Feb they're still around, because the females are going to start dropping babies. And so I saw quite a lot of them in the Mara North Conservancy on my way down, probably 25,000-30,000. There's about 200,000 wildebeest in the loiter herd, and we've just got a few of them here. We're just to the east of Olkoyombo airstrip, and Malaika is probably was last seen probably about 1 kilometer or 2 further to the east of where we are. But we might have to do some rain dodging. As you can see, the dark skies behind those wildebeest there. There's a topi in the background, and then a little bit further to the left, one of my favorite antelopes in the Mara. If we come further to the left, closer to us, next to the tree, and you can, oh no, there's a Tommy, but if we come out and to the left, you can probably hear the wind is pelting now, bringing that rain closer and closer. There we go, some Grant's gazelles. The nice big male Grants. And you can see all those lovely little white flowers. Now, I wonder if anyone can remember what the white flowers are called. Hashtag Safari Live. If you can remember what these little lovely white flowers that dot the short grass plains of the Mara are called. If you do remember hashtag Safari Live, let me know, because they are very interesting flowers, and we can chat a little bit more about them a bit later. But since it is Saturday, we're looking at the Saturday's meals. Let's go see if we can find the cats themselves. Oh, gotta get used to driving this car. Not used to this one. I'm normally always in Kichwa. And it's suddenly got quite chilly, and this wind is pelting across the plains. And you can see there's not much to hide from the wind here. And well, Saturday is carrying on. Hopefully we can add some spots to Saturday. Oh, just hang on a second before we head you off. Those birds have just landed right in front of us, because I do love a good bird. Where'd they go? A little bit to the right, I think. What? Hang on, a little bit to the left. There you go, see them flying there. Oh, they're off they take. Off they go. Oh dear. Whoop. Caspian plovers. Look. Now, as I said, it is Saturday, so birds aren't the order of the day, it is cats, and it seems like Rolf has found some more.
Thanks, Brent. Yep, Saturday indeed. We've found what one of the local guides here from the Kichwa Watembu Lodge says this is the Kichwa Pride. My first thoughts was the Marsh Breakaway Pride, but he says they're further down towards the marsh. And so I'll go with him. There's 3 females in this pride, and then there's 3 tiny little cubs, and then it seems like 3 juveniles, but a lovely group here, all sitting out in the open. So it's nice that, oh, there's a little bit of one of the older cubs, I think, having a drink from mum. He's making the most of the little cubs having a drink, and so he's joining in. Look at that. In a little while I'll reposition from a different direction, but we'll just start. Look at that little cub's face. Wow. Eh, what a cutie. Lilu, you're wondering, quite a good question, what is the difference between hair and fur? Well, I think you could probably say that fur covers your body, and hair is normally a bit longer, like the whiskers and in a mane, and so all of that's quite fur around the body, but it's quite difficult to distinguish between them. I think fur mainly to do with keeping warm, and hair, a little bit longer and having different functions. So like the hair in a lion's mane, there for protection, and the whiskers more for feeling around in the dark, and then when they're on a kill, they would be able to feel around in the different crevices and be able to feel each other as well, and as they walk through the grass when it's very dark. So that's my take on it anyway. I think that's the difference between fur and hair. But remember, fur also, when it is there for warmth, what it is it's trapping the warm air in between the hairs themselves. And that's the way that they stay warm. And so you'll see on a very cold morning, even you can see it quite clearly with the antelope, such as impala. When it's very cold, they'll raise their hair on their back and their whole body, because it actually helps to trap the warm air inside it. And in so doing, it does keep them a little bit warmer. And humans actually do the same. When we say that the hair stands up on the back of your neck, yes, that might be an expression of when you're scared or you feel like there's a ghost in the room or something like that. But we also do exhibit what is called piloerection, which is just the raising of hair. And it happens on your arms, it happens on your neck, it happens on your legs sometimes as well, if you've got hair on your legs. But that does help to trap the warm air. Now look at this little youngster. I think he's stalking his sibling. Let's see, maybe he's going to pounce. as the one goes to sleep. Let's see if he wakes him up. He didn't do much of a pounce, but he still does want to play. Look at that. I'm sure there's a wrestling match on about to start. A little bit of a lazy wrestling match, though. They're not really totally in it, are they? But very playful nonetheless. Emma, you want to know what is a lion's strongest sense? Well, Emma, I would have to say, like a lot of the other animals in the bush, it's down to their nose. And their nose is probably one of their strongest, and then their ears, and then I would say their eyes. And that is most of the animals in the bush. I would say cheetah, for instance, maybe their eyesight used a little bit more, but still their hearing and their smell, generally the stronger of the three senses. And look at that older cub there, really getting into the milk. From mom, there's one of the lionesses lifting her head up as well, but that youngster really enjoying a bit of a drink. And the females look like they could do with a feed. Maybe we'll see them start hunting a little bit later. And they're looking over towards the storm. Maybe they're also worried about the approaching rain. But there's not really much they can do. They'll just have to sit it out. Sometimes go under a tree where it's a little bit less harsh, but otherwise they spend their time in the rain and they just wait it out. Once it's done, and then you can see there's lots of energy and excitement.